it's Megan here from Meghan Makes Do, and I am so excited to be bringing you the Aydin cardigan for this month's Stitch Together official crochet along. If you haven't gotten the pattern yet, make sure that you head to stitchtogetherofficial.com where you can purchase your pattern and get everything you need to get started. Once you have your pattern, the next thing you need to do is figure out what size you need to make to fit you the best. So while the pattern does have traditional sizes, extra small through 5X, I do recommend looking at the size charts to determine what size will best fit you. So what you can do is take your tape measure, go ahead and measure your own bust and maybe like the widest part of your body, since this is a cardigan. I'm a little bit smaller on top than I am towards the bottom, so I tend to go with my largest measurement, which is usually my hips. And I'll base what I make on that measurement alone. So in the size chart, you'll see the dimensions for the back panel, the two front panels, as well as a finished width amount. So what you can do to make sure that you're getting the right fit is pick a size that you think might fit you, figure out what the finished width would be, and then hold it around your body to see where it will come to when you actually have the cardigan on. Kind of loosen it up a little bit so you know that you're getting the right fit that you want. This can be a little bit tricky, so if you guys need help, definitely ask in the group on Facebook. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have as far as finding the right size to fit you. But don't feel like you need to follow the size that you typically wear from big box stores. You can customize the size to make it fit perfect just for you. Once you've determined what size you need to make, now you're gonna need to figure out how much yardage you need to get. So once you determine the size you're making, you can go to the yardage chart and you'll find how much of your yarn that you will need. So for this pattern, I used We Crochet's Gloss DK. This is actually kind of a heavy DK to a light worsted, I would say. So if you need to use a light worsted, that's totally fine. The most important thing to consider is trying to get the right gauge. So that's what we're going to talk about next. So once you've gotten the size determined, you'll know how much yarn you need to order or go buy at the store, or you can always go stash diving and see what you have already in your house. So again, I use Gloss DK from We Crochet in this gorgeous Harvest colorway. And then what you'll want to do is, using the hook that I recommend in the pattern, start there. Make your swatch as it says in the gauge section, and what you want to do is make sure that you have a swatch where this is a 4x4 square. If you don't have a gauge ruler, this can be a really nifty tool to use, but you can also just use your tape measure as well. But you'll make up your swatch. I do recommend making a swatch slightly larger than what the gauge is listed for. So make sure that you're making a swatch larger than what you need so that you can lay your 4x4 ruler down and determine how many stitches across and how many rows you have in 4 inches. So pay attention to that as well when you're working up your swatch, because gauge is going to be super important for when you're making garments. You want to make sure that your gauge matches the one that I have listed in the pattern, so that your finished panels are also matching what I have in my pattern as well. That's going to get you the best fitting garment at the end of this. Okay, and then once you have your gauge met and you're happy with that, it's time to get started on our back panel. So that's going to be one of our main focuses this week. So the back panel starts with ribbing at the bottom. So you're going to be working your ribbing going this way across. This is going to be single crochet in the back loop only. And then we're going to turn it and we're going to work directly into the edge of our ribbing here. And here you can see in better detail, this is going to be the pattern repeat for our cardigan. You're getting these nice lacy chevron stitches here. The pattern repeat is basically like this V shape here, over and over. And this pattern is centered for each size. So I've also included some really nice graphs in the back of your pattern to help you when you're working up your cardigan. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera around and show you this in more detail and explain how each size is going to be slightly different. Included in the pattern are these nice little pattern repeat charts. I included one for each size because I wanted you to see how the pattern lays out for each size. So I've centered the pattern, this like chevron lace stitch pattern, for each size. So here you can see this is the 2X and this is the 3X size. So since we're working on the back pattern, the back panel, we're actually going to flip our chart over. So here, this is just to show you what the pattern repeat will be. So don't look at these top boxes, just look at this nice long box here. This is the back panel. So for the 2X, you can see that I have 1 extra stitch on either side. But for 3X, after the pattern repeats, you'll see that there are 4 stitches on either side. So make sure that you pay attention to that. So each size might be slightly different than the other ones. So make sure that when you are reading your pattern, you are following the size indicated for your pattern. So again, we're just going to be focusing on these back panel graphs this week for our back panel. And this is just to show, you can see that these 5 rows here are going to be our pattern repeat over and over and over. And again, this is going to be worked directly into the ribbing of our back panel, which you can see here. Here's my back panel. So we start with the ribbing here, and then we turn and we're going to work directly into the ribbing and work our pattern repeats all the way up our back panel. One more thing to keep in mind before you get started. I know that this is a long pattern, and you'll see that there are over 20 pages for this pattern alone. The thing is, you don't need every single page in the pattern. So I've included at the very back of the pattern a nifty little print guide for you. So simply find the size that you will be making, and it will tell you exactly what pages you need to print, so that it's a little bit easier for you to keep track of. I also highly recommend going through the pattern before you begin, once you've printed those pages, and circling and highlighting the size that you're making, as well as the stitch counts at the end, so that you can easily follow along and you don't get so confused, because it can be a little bit tricky. I always try to do that when I'm following patterns as well. It just makes it simpler in my mind. So go ahead, grab your supplies, get your swatches done, and go ahead and start the back panel of your Aydins. I am so excited to start this with you guys, and I am always here to answer your questions. Make sure that you tag me in the little Facebook group whenever you make a post if you have a question, so I can quickly get an answer to you. And I am so excited. I can't wait to start seeing your Aydin cardigans.